Hat, sunglasses, Pepsi, notes, sources, thick skin, check. You already know. Let's go. Welcome to Golden Blue today, everybody. This is a college football channel. So if you like college football, hit the like and subscribe button. It's that simple. Also, send gear to represent your team and be a part of my background forever. All you have to do is send it to P.O. Box 360, Liberty, South Carolina 29657. TCU, they escaped a road victory over Baylor. It looked very, very improbable for them to come back from their win, but they did it. They scored a clutch touchdown, a clutch stop, then a runoff field goal. Crazy win by TCU, and now Michigan, they escape a home win over Illinois. Michigan did not look good. Michigan did not look like a playoff team at all. Final score 19-17. TCU beats Baylor by 1 point, by the way. I've already done a video on that, so go check that out when you get a chance. But for Michigan, they escape Illinois at home 19-17 with a field goal with about, 12, 14 seconds remaining in the game. Illinois did get the ball back, but of course they didn't do anything with it. And another escape. Man, today has been a crazy day for playoff contenders so far. TCU, out of both of these teams, I would have to say TCU did look better. I think Baylor is a better team than Illinois. Plus, it was a road trip for TCU. This was a home game for Michigan. The fans are, of course, celebrating like they beat a number one team in the nation or something like that. I get it. You're still undefeated. You're still in the playoff race, and you're going to go on to play Ohio State next week. You cannot play like that against Ohio State. You will lose, Michigan, if you play like that. See, the thing for TCU is their last game is against Iowa State. So even if they played the way they did today against TCU, they would beat Iowa State by 2 touchdowns. They would have to commit a lot of penalties and make a lot of mistakes to get beat by Iowa State. It is a home game for TCU. On the flip side, for Michigan, this is going to be a road trip to a tough opponent, Ohio State, and if you play like you did today, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. So yes, be thankful that you won this game, just like TCU is thankful that they beat Baylor. But man, you have some work to do, especially on offense. I think the cake schedule for Michigan is starting to show just a little bit. They have one good win over Penn State. They really haven't had a bad game until today. That was a bad game. The rest of their schedule really didn't have a bad game, but it's super easy schedule for Big Ten. I know, they can't help that Michigan State was down this year and that the Big Ten East not quite as good as it usually is. Even as good as Penn State is, they're still a little bit down this year. Both teams that they played, they basically got controlled and beat handily, both by Michigan and Ohio State. But for Michigan, we will find out just how good they are next week when they play Ohio State on the road. Today really didn't show us anything. If anything, it actually proved people right as far as, well, their schedule is really easy. I don't know if Michigan is as good as people think. Well, you might be right because this was not a good game by Michigan. Good win. You're still undefeated. It still counts. And all that matters is that you scored more points than your opponent, and you did. So good job on that. Ohio State at Maryland is about to kick off. Maryland isn't a pushover. Maryland gave Michigan some issues. This will be a common opponent where we can tell if Ohio State will struggle because Michigan struggled just a little bit against Maryland, and that was a home game. This is a road game for Ohio State. So far, the two teams that have played that are still in the playoff race, Michigan and TCU, as far as the undefeated teams, they're still undefeated. Ohio State's coming up. Georgia's about to play Kentucky. So those two teams, we'll see what they look like in today's games. But so far, the undefeated teams, they've had letdown games whenever it comes to performances. Now, both of those undefeated teams won, so they're still undefeated. They're still in the playoff race. It's going to be interesting to see what the playoff committee does on Tuesday because I think TCU's win is better than Michigan's. Could TCU jump Michigan in the rankings? I already have TCU above Michigan in the rankings. I think TCU is a better team than Michigan based on their resume, based on who they beat, based on stats, based on the overall picture, based on the eye test. Yes, I think TCU is most definitely a better team than Michigan. But, the Big 12 doesn't get respect. So even though, they're undefeated and they do have the 4th spot, at least they respected them enough to keep them at the 4th spot, they're still not good enough to be over, a Michigan or an Ohio State. Not over Georgia. I probably wouldn't put them over Georgia. I think that's a coin flip. I do think TCU's schedule is a little bit tougher than Georgia's. So they do have an argument, and I've already made a video on that as well. But yes, I think TCU deserves to be ranked as high as number 2. We'll see what Ohio State does. Maybe that changes my mind. I don't know. But up to this point, I would say 1 Georgia, 2 TCU, 3 Ohio State, and 4 Michigan. Good win for TCU. They shouldn't have won that game. If you watch the last 5 minutes of that game, they had a clutch touchdown, clutch stop, and then a runoff. Not a walk-off field goal for the win. Because for whatever reason, Sonny Dykes decided to call a run under 20 seconds, and they didn't have a timeout. Yes, it gained a couple more yards, but they had to rush the field goal unit onto the field, and he made it. Congratulations, you made that. You kind of covered up your coaching mistake. But wow. I bet TCU fans were grabbing their seats and white-knuckling it, because that was let's be honest, that was a bad coaching call, and the field goal unit bailed them out. So congratulations TCU, congratulations Michigan, and yes, in my personal humble opinion as Golden Blue Dude, I do think that TCU should be ranked at least above Michigan. We'll see how the rest of the game goes. West Virginia and Kansas State are still playing as of the recording of this video. If Kansas State wins, I believe they're a lock for the Big 12 championship. I'm not quite sure, but I believe they are. But if they lose, then that could be problems for Kansas State as far as getting into the Big 12 championship. So there you go. Another great day, another great Saturday of college football. And remember, this is only 2 weeks left in the regular season. So after today, only next week, and the regular season is over. We still got conference championships, the bowls, the playoffs, and the national championship, but only 2 more weeks of the regular season. So enjoy it. Soak it in. Great Saturday so far. Y'all let me know in the comments section, were you more impressed with TCU's last-minute win, or were you more impressed with Michigan's last-minute win over Illinois? And would you have TCU ranked over Michigan after this week? That's all I got for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.